Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and today I'm doing a fun video for you where if you're new to Christian fiction or are looking for a clean read that kind of matches the genres that you enjoy, then stay tuned. This is going to be a fun video. I think I have the majority of genres out there. If I missed one, then feel free to put it in the comments. If you're looking for something specific or whatever, I would be happy to find you something to match your reading taste. So let's go ahead and get started. So in no particular order, I'm going to start off with sci-fi, since I read everything from sci-fi to fantasy to romance to historical romance, historical fiction, World War time eras. I read everything, women's fiction, literally everything. So I have a recommendation for everything. So I'm going to start off with sci-fi because that was the first one. And I'm going to recommend the Brand of Light. This is part of the Drossren Saga series by Ronnie Kendig. This book is fantastic. I am actually going to be reading the rest of the series because I've only read through book 3. I know I'm like extremely far behind because there's 5 books and I've started this series multiple times and I just really want to finish it because I love it. Just because book 4 doesn't have an audiobook. So my brain gets stuck on book 4. And that's okay. It'll happen. It'll happen. I will read it. I will read it. I will read it. You in the comments, tell me to read it. I will read it. But this whole series, especially the audiobooks, the narrator, oh, Chef's Kiss. I can't think of his name. It's something gold. But he is phenomenal. Best narrator I've ever heard. He is fantastic. I love his alien voices. If you know, you know. I was extremely creeped out when I first heard one of the alien voices. I was like, whoa, back up. Can I hear that again? Because that was amazing. So the first book is called Brand of Light, and we're following, it's a little bit of a political intrigue sci-fi story. So in this we're following Kiersey, and Kiersey awakens in a shuttle, and she's alone and injured, and she's pretty much accused of killing off her entire planet. And she's like, excuse me? Like, oh, what? And so, yes, so she's accused of the murder of her family. And then we're also following Marco. And Marco is kind of like a bounty hunter type thing. I think he's after some secrets. And kind of is like a little bit of a gifted situation as well, where like God, or of course, you know, the creator gives markings to people who have a prophecy in their life. And so he finds out he has one, and then somebody else in the story has one. So they're trying to figure out their connection. And I really enjoyed book 3. And dare I say it, I might have to start from the beginning again because I don't remember a lot of it. But I do know it's high intense political intrigue sci-fi. You'll really enjoy it. It's definitely more high sci-fi versus like romance heavy. There is definitely a romance, but it's definitely more sci-fi heavy. But I loved it. If you're looking for an historical fiction with little to no romance in it and kind of more, I would say, heavy and intense, then check out The Long March Home by Marcus Brotherton and Tosca Lee. This is a book set during the, I forgot what it's called right now. Let me check, just so I get it right. So it's set during World War II in the Philippines, and this is, oh yeah, the Bataan Peninsula. And it's during the Bataan Death March, and I really knew nothing about that part of history until I got into this book. This book is very heartbreaking, but it is very good. It is kind of dual timeline perspective. We're kind of following one of the soldiers back during when he was younger, before wartime, and then we're following his life during the prison camps and during the Bataan March. And just be aware going into this, it does get pretty graphic in the camps there, in the prison camps. So just as a heads up and a warning, it does. But it is very, very good, very heartbreaking. But I do love this story. I don't talk about it as often as I should, but it's on my bookshelves for a reason. I really did enjoy this story, and I'm definitely more intrigued to pick up more books by both of these authors. I think this is the first book I've ever read by Tosca Lee as well, so I definitely want to check out more of her stories. If you like historical romances or a little mixture of a fairy tale retelling. Not really like, it's not magical, but like just a historical romance with a little bit of a twist. Here is The Maid of Ballymacule by Jennifer Dipple. This is a book set in Ireland, and this is one of my favorites by the authors. It's just such a great story. So this is kind of like a little bit of a Cinderella retelling. So we're following a woman whose name is Brianna, and she works at the Ballymacule house and boarding school. And she's worked there since she was a little girl, and the boarding house mistress has pretty much treated her like garbage, basically, because she is like the stepmother figure, kind of. So poor Brianna kind of just realizes that she really, tries her best, and she kind of has her alone time in the woods and has her peaceful time in the woods, just talking to God to have a break from, of course, that hard lifestyle of being the maid of Ballymacule. And then she ends up finding a man in the woods named Michael, I'm pretty sure. Yes, I was right. And Michael's sent to Ballymacule to deal with his unruly cousin, because his cousin is one of the girls at the school, and he runs into Brianna. And Michael is like one of my favorite heroes in his story. I just love his personality. He's so sweet. He's definitely Prince Charming-ish, and yeah, I just love this whole setting, and it definitely, I think, deserves a reread. I think it deserves a reread. I really should reread this one because I'm slowly finding my joy of rereading more, so I definitely think I'll pick this up again. If you like women's fiction, I'm talking about books that like don't really have any romance, if at all. They're kind of more, I guess, geared in like a family way. There's usually like a family aspect in women's fiction. There's not really any mystery or intrigue involved in it. There could be, but I consider more like women's or literary fiction kind of more of the story of the characters' lives versus events that happen to them. So I have two books that are like my favorite in that genre. One is With Every Memory by Janine Roche. This is one of my absolute favorite books. I love this author so much. And this one is about a woman named, let me find out, Lori. And Lori was in a car accident that killed her teenage son and left her with 8 years' memories gone. And so she doesn't remember the last 8 years of her life. So when she returns home after the accident, she returns to a new home. Her husband's acting strangely. Her daughter is estranged from her. Her daughter pretty much won't even talk to her. Like, they have no relationship. So it's pretty much her kind of picking up the pieces, trying to put the puzzle pieces together and trying to figure out, what went wrong in my family and how can I make things different. And it's just a beautiful story. Definitely did not see the way the story was going. Yeah, it's a very, very good story, and I definitely think I could reread this one as well. Probably all of these deserve a reread. They're that good. But I love the story. And then the other one that I have for women's or literary fiction is This Is Where It Ends by Cindy K. Sproul's. And I think a lot of her books kind of toe the line between literary fiction and historical fiction. So this one, following a woman named Minerva, and at 14 years old, she married a man who pretty much takes her from her family, and they live off in the mountains. So she has no connection with hardly anybody out there in the middle of nowhere. And years and years and years later, her husband passes away and tells her, don't open the box that I have I think it's in the barn, and don't tell anybody about it. Well, a little while after his passing, there's this reporter that comes along to her home and says, I'm doing research on this story where supposedly there is a missing, not treasure, but a missing fortune that was stolen from some person back in the day. And so he's around asking Minerva questions, and she's like, I want nothing to do with you. She's so just like, I don't know, she's just like that grumpy older woman, but like, I love her so much. She is like one of my favorite characters. But their relationship between Minerva and the reporter is just so fantastic. They're growing friendship, even though she doesn't really want him to be there. He just wants to help her out around the farm, and it's just a beautiful told story. There is a slight mystery involved with this, but it's definitely more about the characters, more about their journey and found family, and I love it so much. It's one of my favorites, and I'm really glad that I picked this one up. I just picked it up randomly in my review list. I review for Baker Publishing, and this was on the list when like I first started reviewing. I was like, I don't normally pick up like literary fiction, but this like sounds really, really good, and I'm glad I did. It was fantastic. If you enjoy historical fiction plus time travel, because there's a lot of time travel books out there, especially in the mainstream fiction world. There's a lot of time travel out there. I love time travel stories, and this is like one of the best series out there. This is actually, I would honestly say, I don't know. Honestly, I would say this is probably one of the top 3 Christian fiction books out there. Today, definitely. I would even say like the top 2, honestly. This series has gotten so much love and so much hype over the years, and I'm all for it. And I'm sharing book 5 with you only because it's actually probably my favorite in the series. I don't know. All of them are really good, but this is the Timeless series by Gabriel Meyer, and this is like just chef's kiss. Pretty much every single book has been pretty much 4.5, 5, 6 stars. I think this one was 6 stars. Every Hour Until Then, which is book 5, and she's literally out with book 7 now, almost. I think number 7's out. So how many Christian fiction series have you heard had more than 3 or 4 books in a series? Not many, if any, because books just don't tend to last that long in series. So I'm really excited for her to see her journey and her coming up with stories in every single book. So if you're new to the Timeless series, welcome, and you're gonna love it. So in this series, in each book, we're following a family member. Most of them are, I believe, kind of connected, but there are other time crossers, not time travelers. These are different. These are time crossers. And so each person that is a time crosser, they live 2 different lives in 2 different times, but at the same time. So when they're born, they're gifted with a birthmark, and the birthmark shows them that they are a time crosser. And so they live 2 separate lives, one in, say, 1886, another one in 1987. So they live 2 different times, and but every day they live, there's no time that passes in between each timeline. So they live one day, they go to sleep, they wake up in the other timeline and live pretty much the same day over in that other timeline. So they're kind of living like double the lifespan as anybody else. But in these books, each time crosser has a certain age, and normally it's like 21 or something, but like it gets different and more complicated as the stories go on. But 21 was the beginning age where they had to choose by the age of 21 which timeline they would choose. But that always doesn't go according to plan. It's always God's plan and where he needs you most. Which timeline does he need you most in? And sometimes it really does surprise you on which timelines. Other ones you could kind of guess, oh, she's definitely going to pick that one. Other ones it was like, oh, I wasn't expecting her to stay in that timeline. So it was really good though. I love this whole series. As I said, fantastic. And Every Hour Until Then is my favorite because it's got that Jack the Ripper mystery. It was so good. Definitely this is more of like an intense, a little bit more of a mystery aspect to it versus the other ones where the other ones were more historical fiction based and not too much mystery. But this one was definitely mystery and I was here for it. If you're interested in a biblical fiction story or author, this is my favorite author. And I will say, like, which I kind of appreciate, she only writes Old Testament stories. She never writes New Testament stories. I can kind of guess why, but she's my favorite author. I love her so much, and she's amazing. And every time I see her, I love her so much. I think I've run into her twice now. Yeah, at book events, but she's my favorite biblical fiction author. If you can't guess who it is Misu Andrews. And yes, it's Misu. Some of you thought I said V.C. Andrews. That is not correct. I said Misu. But this was the first book I ever discovered by the author. This was actually her debut novel. And are you kidding? Debut novel? Honey, this is like you've been writing your whole life. But this is Love Amid the Ashes, and this is still my favorite book by the author. Like, seriously, I have enjoyed them all, but this one still holds a close place in my heart. But this one is a biblical retelling of Job. And let me tell you, Misu Andrews, she is phenomenal at researching, staying true to biblical timelines and characters. She is just phenomenal, and I love her. I love her writing. I love her characters, and she just really brings characters to life, and I just love that. And what I love a lot about biblical fiction is, if you're hesitant about a specific part or something in that, go back to your Bible, go back to the source, read that story, and enjoy kind of the fictional lifestyle. And I just love it. And this is my favorite. It is very heartbreaking. You kind of see the close-up look of Job and what he went through, but it is fantastic. I also love her Joseph books too, Potiphar's Wife and In Feast or Famine. Those ones are definitely different. Potiphar's Wife was definitely something I didn't see going into it, but it's very, very different. Right now she's working on the next King David wife book. I can't remember which one she's on now. I can't remember, but just pray for her because she is struggling to write it. So, but I know it's going to be great. I did forget about one series in historical romances, although we didn't really talk about historical romance. Well, we did. We talked about The Maid of Ballymagul, which was kind of like a historical romance mixed with a little bit of a fairy tale retelling. But we're going to talk about a definite historical romance series, and this is the Raven series by Carrie Cotton. I picked up book 2 because I don't own book 1, but book 2 is also my favorite. I need to continue on because she has book 5 out now, and I need to read book 4 and book 5. So this is The Viking, which is my favorite. But this is a phenomenal series, and going into it, I thought it was actually like a fantasy world, but it's not. It's actually more closer to historical fiction. There's like a little bit where like it speaks about God's gifts, and like I think like the first one, she has the gift of like her arrow staying true because she's an archer, but it's not really magical at all in this series, and I love it. The faith content, the characters, the banter, the strength of all the characters are just top tier. This is one of my favorite series of all time. As I said, The Viking, my favorite because I love the characters in this one. It's fantastic, and yeah, I need to get the whole series. I only own book 2 and book 3, so I really need the whole series because it's so fantastic. The world building, the historical time period of Vikings, and I love the whole thing. It's fantastic. You need to check it out if you haven't. Also, I'm not sure about the rest of the series or the books that I've talked about, but I know this one definitely is on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have KU, you need to check it out. It's so good. If you enjoy thrillers and mystery and suspense, I have 2 books for you, and, well, 2 authors because that's all they write pretty much. So the first one is Jamie Jo Wright. She is like the queen of suspense. She mainly writes dual timeline books, and I will say though she has written her first contemporary romance for YA. I haven't read it yet, but I'm very intrigued to check it out, so I'm excited to read that. But I picked up this one because this is the most recent one that I've read by her. I actually own all of her books, minus her love-inspired ones. I don't own those yet, but I do own every single one of her other books. So this one is Haunting at Bonaventure Circus, and as I said, every single one of her suspense books are dual timeline. Most of them do have kind of a ghostly aspect to it, so if you like kind of the ghost hunters, mysterious goings on, noises go bump in the night, you will enjoy these books, but she always has a Scooby-Doo explanation. She never includes, real ghosts or whatever, so it's always a Scooby-Doo situation. So in this one, we're following a woman back in 1928, and the Bonaventure Circus is pretty much kind of not really doing that great. They have like a baby elephant that they're trying to save that's just been born, and it's not doing great, so the daughter, or the adopted daughter of the ringmaster, decides to kind of take the elephant under her wing. And then she ends up receiving mysterious messages from someone called the Watchman. And there is murders going on back in that timeline, and then we're following in the present timeline where an old circus train depot's future hangs in the balance, and this woman decides to buy it, kind of fix it up, and try to sell it. But there's mysterious things going on, and she's trying to figure out what's happening. There was a woman who disappeared like a few decades ago, and a little bit of murder happening on as well in the future. But I love all of her books. They're all really great. There's definitely some like that I was like, there's only been 1 or 2 where I was like, there was an intense scene that I was reading at night, and I'm like, I need to pick this up in the morning because it was just a little too intense for me. But like, I love all of her books, and they're just really, really great. There's definitely a couple that I could reread of hers. Then the other author, which all of her books actually are on Kindle Unlimited as well, so check them out. And that is C.C. Warren's. Now, if you really like more intense thrillers, but like mixed with found family, a pinch of romance. Like I'm talking literally less than a thimbleful of romance, and high intense sequences. Look up the trigger warnings for this series though, just as a heads up, but it is phenomenal. So this is called the Holly series by C.C. Warrens, and I own like books 1 through 4 or something. She's working on book 5 right now, so I cannot wait to pick it up. So this one, of course, we're following Holly, and Holly was very much abused by a very, very bad man in her foster home life. Well, she's pretty much living under a different name, different city, different town, and right in the beginning of the first book, she's being chased in the woods. And it's a very intense action scene. She's trying to figure out, is this the man who hurt me when I was younger? Is it somebody else? What's going on? There's murder, there's intrigue, there's very, very intense action scenes in it, and it's just so good. And my favorite character, I will say, is Marks. Marks is like, I don't know, the adopted father figure. He is just amazing. I love him so much. He's the best man that she could have found to be a friend with, for sure. But I love this series, and I do need to continue it because it's so good. It's so good. And I'm just like, I'm kind of stuck after book 3 because I don't want to continue too quickly in order for, like, I want to wait for like the next book to come out so like I can slowly pick up, you know, where the other one left off. I can remember where the third book left off, so that's good. That's good. But I just want to continue it until the next book comes out. I have one fantasy book for you that's not a retelling or anything. I don't believe so. It's its own fantasy book, but I figured I would share a fantasy book in here. I should add a romantasy as well because this isn't a romantasy. This is definitely a fantasy book. So this is Wish Dress by Nadine Brendez, and I love this book so much. I tabbed it up incredibly a lot for sure. I very rarely tab and annotate, but this one, so glad I did. So in this one, we're following a girl who kind of discovers that her whole life, whenever she cries, whoever gathers those tears, wishes are granted. Well, she ends up getting cursed by somebody and is told that the next tear that she sheds will end up ending her life. And so she's terrified of crying, terrified of emotions. And so she's on the journey to find the cure to this curse. And then we're also following a man who has one of my favorite superpowers, and that is time stopping. I love time stopping. It's just like the coolest thing ever. If you've seen the movie, oh, what's it called? Clock Stoppers. That's like one of our favorite movies in this house. It's just so much fun. I just love time stopping and like what you can do during that time while time is stopped. Like, it's so cool. But he's kind of on the journey to also find something as well, and they cross paths, and it's just so good. There's some stuff that you don't even see coming in this story, and it's just fantastic. I love all the bits, all the pieces. This was actually a buddy read on my channel a few years ago, and I'm so glad it was because there was just so much good conversation, good chatting, and good tabbing because there was a lot involved, and I love this book so much. This is kind of the first one that stuck out to me on my bookshelves. I should have grabbed it when I saw it earlier. But this is Unmasked by Kelsey Chapman, and this is a standalone fantasy book. And I would consider this a little bit more of romantasy. So this is about a woman who named Carlin, and she's tired of living her life back home. So she decides to go on like a foreign exchange type thing. So she goes to Ireland, and she lives with this nice lady who is like a foreign exchange housing situation. Well, something happens where she runs into a mysterious man named Maddox and his outcast group of friends. And some of the residents really aren't that excited about these people. And there's also some mysterious creatures. It definitely is a bit of a, I would say, fae type romantasy, so there's definitely some fairies involved and magical creatures and stuff, and I just really enjoyed this story. I'm gonna have to do a reread of it at some point, but it was really, really good. I did enjoy the whole aspect of it. It was very, very fun and a little bit of romance involved, and I just really enjoyed it. Then the last genre I have for you is contemporary romance books, and I have a couple different genres within that. So the first one is like contemporary fairy tale retelling, and this is one of my favorites. This is In Search of a Prince by Tony Shiloh. If you enjoyed Princess Diaries, you will love this book. So in this, we're following a woman named Brielle, and Brielle has discovered that she is the heir to an African island country. And she finds out that she has a grandfather she had no idea she even had. So her grandfather pretty much tells her, you know, I could be passing away soon. I would love to meet you, and possibly you could become the heir to the kingdom. And so she decides to go to this island off the coast of Africa, and it's just such a beautifully told story. I loved Brielle and her faith to step up to this huge, gigantic role that she had no idea. But she was, you know, she wanted something different. She wanted to see what was on, you know, on the other side and figure out, you know, where God wanted her to be. And I loved it so much. It is such a fantastic story. This isn't really a love story though, because it's definitely more of a little bit of like the bachelorette situation, because in order to become queen, there also could possibly have to be a king. So she kind of steps out of her comfort zone and dates a couple of the local men who, some are great, some aren't that great. But it's just a great story and I loved it. Then the last genre is rom-com, romantic comedy, which is one of my absolute favorites. I wish, honestly, there was more out there in the rom-com genre. There probably is, but like more on like the clean book side versus like actual Christian fiction side. But I do have three, and I have one specific author that's written a lot, and that is Pepper Basham. So if you're new to Christian fiction, Pepper Basham is like one of the queens of rom-com, historical rom-coms. We also have some contemporary rom-coms. I also own the majority of her books. There's a few I don't own, but Sense and Suitability is one of my favorites, plus it's her newest release, I believe. And this is all about a woman who has had 2 failed social seasons. And so Emmeline just wants to survive with her dignity intact, hopefully, because she was kind of engaged to like her best friend and he broke it off. And so she wants nothing to do with him. Well, this is kind of like a second chance romance where you kind of get snippets here and there on why he felt like he had to break up with her, and it's just so good. There's some funny parts in this story, and I just love all of her books. Some of her books are definitely not rom-coms. They're more historical fiction, historical romances with like a little bit more heavy topics, like her Blue Ridge Mountain series. That's the one. My Heart Belongs in the Blue Ridge. That's what it's called. Those are not rom-com. Those are definitely more heavy-handed. There is romance, but a little bit more heavy. There's a little bit of funny humor in the second book, but most of her like her like lighthearted, funny, bright colored covers. Pick up one of those if you want like just something light, funny, and really, really sweet. Love Overboard by Shannon Sue Dunlap. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I love it so much. The sequel also, which I did forget to grab, it's up on my shelf. Anchors Love, Anchors Love, Anchors Away. No, not Anchors Away. Hearts Away. That's what it was called. Hearts Away is the sequel. But Love Overboard is just so much fun. You follow these 4 women who are both, I think they're all in their, like they're between 70s and 80s. And they have decided to live on this cruise ship, you know, and just stay on the cruise ship. Well, they decide to matchmake the crew members and try to find their best matches. There's only 2 in the series. I'm really hoping and praying there's going to be more because it's just so good. Just so good. So if you want Shannon Sue Dunlap to make more, contact Kriegel Publishing. Put out reviews for the series because it's just so amazing, and there needs to be at least one more book so we can have like a romance between like one of the older ladies and somebody on the ship. Like, I really want them to have a relationship. I hope she writes it. I really want her to write it. But this whole series is just fun. There's some banter, there's humor, there's antics with the older woman, and I just love this book so much. It's definitely, I would say, the perfect vacation read. Then the last book I have, which is another rom-com that I love, and I guess rom-com was the biggest one because I just think everyone needs kind of a lighthearted read. So the last one I have is Claire Holloway is Winging It by Angela Ruth Strong. If you want something that's funny, laugh out loud funny, humorous, you're going to love this one. So this one's about Claire Holloway, and she is a flight attendant who is heading toward her crash pad where she's going to be staying in between her flights and stuff. And she goes there and she ends up running into this pilot in a very, very cute, meet cute situation. But she has a relationship back at her home, and he is pretty much adamant about being in a relationship right now. Like, he doesn't want to be in one. But I just love kind of the boundaries that they set for each other based on respect, but they also form a really strong friendship, and I just love that. So really, really funny, very sweet, highly recommend. So those are all the books I have for you. There was a ton of really great options if you're just starting out in Christian fiction, or maybe you're stuck on a certain genre that you want to read something similar to. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and honestly, put down some recommendations for any of these genres. If you have a favorite book in one of these genres, I would love to know, for me and for others that may be searching as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video.